Horsemen podcast. I got it right this time. My brain is actually working. Because I had that problem on one episode of the Shadow Call where I accidentally called it the Horseman podcast and vice versa. And I'll wait. I'll wait a moment. But anyways, I am not alone. I am joined to my right is none other than the lovely Hannah Klein.
Yeah.
Up above on the right corner, Raphael Fireblade.
Hello.
And then right in the middle, the man who won't let this die on the Twitch chat, Ricky Horrormaster.
Yellow and Diablos and Musica.
Oh, there we go again. Oh. Oh boy.
And last but certainly not least, even though you can't see his handsome mug, Artur Castana.
Again. This is already a trend.
It's like we're too good to see his face, I guess.
Maybe.
Yeah, what can you do?
What
what else can you do? In the words of Randy Rampage from Alice in Hell. So yeah, it's been a few weeks since we were last here, and a lot has changed. A new feature going on for this show. Not only is it being streamed on YouTube, it's also being streamed on my Twitch channel at the same time. Because I'm looking to do more streaming over there. So, real quick, I was just double checking everything because I actually need to get the live chat from YouTube up so I can keep an eye on it. But, yes, I am still very, very tired. I woke up only like an hour and a half ago and I am still a little womp womp. Then again, when am I never womp womp in my days? Will you cut that out? From SpongeBob. Yeah, Raphael saw where I went with that. But anyways, for those who are joining over on Twitch, thank you guys for coming by. I just put in the command ! Commands, and you get a bunch of commands. Actually, I'm going to test out this new one I put in. Ricky, pay attention to this one. This came from last night when playing Among Us with Daniel DK. He said the following quote that you'll see.
Alright.
I want to see you.
Oh boy.
Preposterous hypothesis. Because I sussed him out as an imposter, and he goes, "That's a preposterous hypothesis." And I'm like, when you say big words like that, it tells me that you're the killer. So, little funny inside joke between DK and I now. So.
Oh god.
It's just too brilliant. It's brilliant.
Brilliant.
And as he kind of broke the fourth wall.
Corpse yet in Among Us?
Yeah, DK and I play Among Us together quite a bit. Oh, I don't know what the hell happened there.
A lot, actually.
Apologies, I'm still trying to get all this going properly because I forget whenever I use Restream, whenever I go to the YouTube live section, it always wants to go to like previously made settings instead of what I have currently. And I'm still trying to plug everything. But, yeah, so we're getting closer to the holiday season. Well, we are in the holiday season technically, but we're getting closer to Christmas, and I've already decorated with a tree and one of the presents for our special Secret Santa thing. That's a little present that I've yet to open. So, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And luckily, 2 days ago, I got my regular Christmas shopping done, getting gifts for the family. So, yeah, so far this holiday season's been going very, very well. Hopefully it gets better, and so on and so forth. All I do know is Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, I'm going to be a busy cook. I'm going to be cooking for the family. Oh, fucking wish me luck on that.
I got it.
Nover Padre, Spiritus
Good luck, man.
Sancti.
You're gonna need it.
So for today's episode, we are talking top 10. What? I'm confused. What did I miss?
I just said Nover Padre, Spiritus Sancti. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, anyways, so this episode is top 10 demos, EPs, what have you, because we figured we don't talk a whole lot about voice crack. We don't talk a whole lot about demos and EPs on the show, so I thought to myself, let's do an episode dedicated to that, because over the years in the history of metal, there have been countless influential EPs and demos out there. And a lot of them are considered genre definers. Some of them hidden gems that should be scoped out by more people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the basis of what I'm going for when it comes to choosing which demos, EPs that I went with. Ones that were not only influential, but very good quality, but also, in some cases, very underrated and should be scoped out by a lot more people.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that.
So, with all that said and done, let's get to some honorable mentions before we get to the best of the best. So, to start off for my honorable mentions, I got 8 honorable mentions, starting off with Napalm Death's Mentally Murdered EP from '89. So this was a transitionary EP. This came out after the influential From Enslavement to Obliteration album, and before they went death metal with Harmony Corruption. And you could hear, even as far back as From Enslavement, some death metal influence coming into Napalm Death's music. It just got pushed further on this album to the point where there was a song that was 4 minutes long on this EP, which was unheard of at the time for Napalm Death. This was also the last release with Lee Dorian on vocals and Bill Steer on guitar, because Bill Steer wanted to focus more on Carcass, and Lee Dorian got tired of the grindcore death metal thing and wanted to create the legendary doom and stoner band Cathedral. So, but this EP, very good, and a better version of the song Mentally Murdered from Enslavement to Obliteration. Much better, and Lee Dorian's vocals, where he went from like a jumbled grunt on the other 2 albums beforehand, he got more growly on this one, and it was evil sounding, so there you have it with that. And plus, production a little bit better, songwriting a little tighter, so there you go. Up next, probably the most recent EP on the list, and before anyone says, no, it's not the new Carcass EP, even though that is an amazing EP, I went with Pallades Dust by Gorguts from 2016, because it's a 1-song EP, it's over 30 minutes, it perhaps should have been a full-length album, but for a 1-song EP of like 33 minutes, it was probably Gorguts' best work since Obscura in '98. It was magnificent, technical, avant-garde death metal at its best in 2016. Up next, I went with... this one almost made the top 10, but because it's just a covers EP for the most part, the classic Garage Days by Metallica.
It's on my list.
I mean, when you
Yeah.
It's
my number 4, along with another one, which was a last minute draw.
Yeah, this EP, for a covers EP, it's amazing. Like, Metallica, in my opinion, when it comes to doing cover songs, they're the kings of cover songs in metal, for sure. Well, maybe Judas Priest, but it's 1A, 1B with Priest and Metallica. But, yeah, when you got an EP with covers of Diamond Head and Misfits and Killing Joke, Blitzkrieg...
Thin Lizzy.
Well, no, that's Garage Inc. We're talking Garage Days.
Oh, yeah.
The Garage Days 598 EP revisited.
Yeah.
Wrong Garage.
Yeah, I think you inhaled too much carbon monoxide.
Wasn't also on the Garage Days that they also did So What?
No, that was So What they did in sessions during the Black Album.
Okay.
From what I remember, so. But yeah, that's the next one. The next one, also from 87, been kind of forgotten about in recent years, even though at the time it was huge. Anthrax's I'm the Man EP.
Oh,
that
that's
was
a classic.
That
Honorable
was an
mention.
EP?
Yeah, that was an EP.
I thought it was an album.
No, it was an EP that came out. I think it came out before Among the Living was released in 87.
And you want to talk about rap metal?
These were the pioneers. These were the pioneers. And one of the funniest metal songs of all time, I'm the Man. And not only just I'm the Man, but an amazing cover of Sabbath Bloody Sabbath as well on this EP. Next up, Hannah's gonna love me for this one. I got the classic Flag of Hate by Creator. Shortly before Pleasure to Kill came out, and you want to talk about raw, in-your-face German thrash. Maybe not as good as another band that I'll mention in the list itself.
Which one did you say? Which one did you say?
Flag of Hate by Creator.
I forgot Flag of Hate.
So there's that one. And as I was saying, while in terms of EPs, not as good as another German band that I'll mention later in the list. Next,
which I think it's the same one that you have, which is the same thing that which is the same one I think I have.
We'll see. Up next, the last honorable mention of the EPs before two demo honorable mentions, and that's an obscure one, Retribution for the Dead by Autopsy.
Forgot about it.
It came out after Severed Survival, before Mental Funeral, and it was basically the telling of what they were going to do on Mental Funeral, and that's go Death Doom. The title track, Retribution for the Dead, was like Autopsy's homage to Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath, because the riff is so similar, but it's so evil. And then two songs, In the Grip of Winter, and there was another song on there, I'm trying to remember, but those two songs would end up getting re-recorded on Mental Funeral, and it was excellent. Next up, for the first of two demo honorable mentions, another forgotten one that more people should scope out. Then again, this band in general gets forgotten about, and people should check them out more. Death Cult by Coroner. 1986 demo. It was only their second demo. Their first one was Depths of Hell in 83, and they were kind of more of like a Motley Crue-esque band at the time, before they changed and went prog thrash. And then you get to Death Cult, and the thing that also makes this demo so cool, Tom Moyer of Celtic Frost does the vocals on this demo, because he was great friends with the guys in Corner, still is to this day. And the song, The Invincible, the final song on this demo alone, is worth checking this demo out, because it's kind of like Corner's homage to Hellhammer's Triumph of Death. Slow, evil sounding, dark. Yeah. And then finally, another obscure demo, but in my opinion, an underground influencer, Mayhemic Destruction by NYC Mayhem. From New York.
NYC Mayhem.
Yeah. Eventually, they changed their name to Straight Ahead, and a couple of the members ended up forming the classic New York hardcore band Sick of It All. But NYC Mayhem, at the time when this demo came out, they were creating something quite crazy at the time, because they were a thrash band with elements of New York hardcore and blast beats. These were one of the first underground bands to use the blast beat before grindcore and black metal would eventually, and death metal would eventually use it. And this demo, Mayhemic Destruction, as stated by Charlie Benante of Anthrax, without this demo, Charlie wouldn't have attempted blast beats on that first SOD album. And even some Norwegian black metal musicians were inspired by this demo. Fenris of Darkthrone was one of them who was inspired by this demo. And also, at the time, this could have been considered a death metal demo because vocally, pioneering death growls at the time, which wasn't really being done much. Yeah, you had Tom Warrior doing it, and you had Jeff Becerra of Possessed doing it, but... and I can't remember the vocalist of NYC Mayhem at the time, but this demo, it's hard to find even on YouTube. I luckily got it, but it's a really good demo. Hyper speed, New York thrash with hardcore on top of it, proto death metal, and even black metal because it's so raw, and it's awesome. So those are my honorable mentions. Henna, what about you?
Well, I also have 8 honorable mentions, and my first one will make Ricky very, very happy because it's this EP, Lumina Aure, or however you pronounce that thing by Swallow the Sun.
There is a Swallow the Sun EP, but it's not that one. I think you know which one it is.
Yeah. Well, I have this on my honorable mentions. Actually, I like this more than When a Shadow Was Forced into the Light. When this EP came out, I was really hyped for the album. I'm not a big fan of the album, but I'm a big fan of this EP because it's very atmospheric, ambient, has kind of elements like... It reminds me of what Runa and Heilung at times, very ritualistic in some sorts. It's only one big song. The first side contains it with vocals. I think the second one...
the second one is without vocals.
Yeah, and when this came out, I was really stoked about the upcoming album. Sadly, the style was very different on the album, but I prefer the EP, and I think it's a great EP. Then on my next, I have a double EP by Migwa. I love Migwa, and I have the album here. It's Mlochki and Further Down the Nest on the other side. In my opinion, the best demo releases of Migwa. Of course, there's also Presence and Power and Will, but I prefer this double EP over the other EP, and I think it's almost like a Migwa album. They still play songs of this album live today, and they rock. And were one of their early examples of the very melodic Polish black metal that they would later be known for. And I think those 2 EPs are very, very good. I like to spin them once in a while. Then next, I've got something that will also make Ricky very, very happy, and that is this EP. Over. Sic Transit Gloria Mundi. I mean, it basically contains those songs that did not fit on the assassination of Julius Caesar, but all 3 songs that are on here, Echo Chamber, Bring Out Your Dead, and the Frankie Goes Hollywood cover, The Power of Love. The way Over recorded it, and it's just amazing synth pop, and I simply love to spin it. And this EP comes with live versions of some songs of the assassination of Julius Caesar on the B side. It's just a lovely release, and I really, really like this one. And then next, I've talked about this before, Thor's Hammer, Domedag's Nut, groundbreaking EP when it comes to the development of doom metal. yeah, love this one. Prefer it over Winters Into Darkness. I already said that a couple of times, and I think this collaboration between the Sun members and Runhild, the Norwegian exchange student, is just great. Then next, I have to talk about Behemoth. I mean, if you ask me about Behemoth, I prefer the blackened death metal they currently play. But when it comes to the earlier black metal work, my favorite album is Sventivith. But that's an album, and the album actually was framed by a demo from the Pagan Vastlands, released in '94, and later an EP, and The Forest Dreams Eternally, in 1995. And I think both albums are great. And together with Sventivith, I think those three releases are those where Behemoth, or at least their style of black metal, sounded the best. I think on the from the Pagan Vastlands, you have awesome songs like From Hornetland to Lindisfarne, which is an awesome song and an amazing cover of Mayhem's Death Crush. And on the EP, you have Pure Evil and Hate, and this song alone is so awesome that I had to mention it. And a re-recording or an original recording, I'm not so sure of the Sventivith song. In my opinion, both amazing releases. And next I've got Celtic Frost Morbid Tales, but I'm not going to talk more about it. And also Hellhammer's Apocalyptic Raids.
It's on my list. It's on my list.
Number 10.
Oh,
Number
real quick, just follow on Twitch Marissa Tellez, who will be a future guest on the podcast. Thank you for the follow. It's awesome. Yes. But continue. I just got interrupted by Batista's.
Hellhammer is a great band. I have never gotten quite into them, but I think Apocalyptic Raids is groundbreaking and an important album, and some songs I like to listen to them once in a while. And lastly, I could have chosen basically any EP they've released. They've released now 4 EPs or so. Cult of Fire, Life, Sex, and Death.
What an appropriate title for an EP.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
For the packaging alone of this EP, they should receive an honorable mention. The packaging is just
and
awesome.
For the name of it too.
Yeah. That's definitely
If you don't know how it looks like, go on Discogs, check out how they packaged this thing. It's just phenomenal. And the songs on here, they could have easily been on Call of Fire album. Just a lovely EP in my opinion. And the packaging, sometimes the packaging makes it even better, and this is one of the cases.
Nice.
Yeah.
Alright, Raphael.
For an honorable mention, I decided to only put 3 EPs. I put Hailstorm Terror on the High Seas. Mayhem Out from the Dark.
Woof!
And
you went deep there.
And this band, Body Blow, this is one of their demos. The lead singer of this band, Ryan Taylor, he's in this band. Well, he's not really the lead singer. He's more the lead guitarist, backup vocalist. He's the lead singer of Atomic, and now recently Malevine Creation, and now he's back with Soulsticks as well.
All right, Ricky.
So I have three honorable mentions. First of all, and I think Levi, you might have this on your list. I have Surf Nicaragua by Sacred Reich.
I forgot about that. Damn it! I forgot about Sacred Reich.
I mean, it has a cover of War Pigs,
which is a good cover.
Which is a good cover, and also the title track, Surf Nicaragua.
The title track's a classic title track.
Yeah, and this was before their debut album, which was, I think...
No, it was after. It was after their debut. I remember Surf Nicaragua came out in '88, where Death Squad came out in '87.
Well,
Or no,
I
Ignorance. It was Ignorance, the
That's right.
album. The song Death Squad was on that album.
Well, yeah, like it's a great little thrash EP that I'm Sacred Rise, one of those thrash metal bands that
Doesn't get brought up a whole lot.
unfortunately didn't get the
Very underrated.
Very,
Yeah, it's
very
one of those
underrated.
So check that out. Next up, kind of an odd one, but I think some other one has it. I have Queensryche's Queensryche.
Oh, I forgot about.
Now this
Honorable
Queensryche-
mention.
Queens-
Damn it! Queen of the Reich, for God's sakes! That song alone.
Now this album, you can tell they were highly influenced by Iron Maiden. They were almost Iron Maiden clones. But like Levi said, for the song Queen of the Reich, which in my opinion is probably Jeff Tate's best vocal performance, hands down their best song in my opinion. And last but not least, I was gonna put it in the top 10, but I couldn't because I have another Death Doom EP on my list, so I had to put this on the honorable mentions, and that is The Crestfallen by Anathema.
Oh,
Now, the thing about The Crestfallen is that 4 out of the 5 songs were later released on the debut album called Serenus. The 5th song was retitled. Instead of They Die, they changed it to They Will Always Die. Still the same song, still the same music, it's a different name. This is when, again, Anathema was, everyone said this was when Anathema was good. Before the mid 2000s stuff. I'm sorry, Anathema. I just wish Anathema could go back to their early stuff and listen to what they created. Some of the best Death Doom albums out there. So Anathema, if you're watching this,
before the
go,
Kavanaughs went emo.
yeah. Please go back to listen to your early stuff and create an actual album that people are gonna talk about. They're not shit about.
Right.
Please.
Yeah.
Because I love my Death Doom. I love Anathema. I just wish Anathema's late stuff was better. All right, and that's it.
And finally, Artur.
I have 6 honorable mentions, but although I don't know some of these albums, I only know mostly the ones that I have on my top 10. But I have had a chance to listen to them and see how good they were. And I start with Suffocation's Despise the Sun.
Oh, I forgot about Suffocation.
That's a nice one.
I mean, it is Suffocation. It is not my favorite technical death metal or death metal
Or
band
brutal
out
death
there,
metal,
but it's
yeah.
exactly. But it's still a great EP.
The song Funeral
have-
Inception alone is great on that EP.
True.
With one of the
I have
best breakdowns in metal, too.
As well. I also have Godflesh's first EP.
I
Godflesh,
forgot
Godflesh.
about that one.
I forgot about that.
I
one.
forgot
And
about
Levi-
Godflesh.
And Levi is going to kill me because of this next one. Bloodbath's Unblessing the Purity. The last EP that Bloodbath ever recorded with Michael Eckerfeld at the vocals.
I forgot
I
about
also have-
Bloodbath, too.
I also have Nevermore's In Memory.
Mhm.
I have, and these two are I went mostly because of a list that I saw, but these ones possibly deserved the honorable mentions. I have 9 Inch Nails Broken,
Oh.
and Hannah's number 2.
Damn it.
Nice.
That was such a huge oversight.
Most of you,
And we were
will
talking
guess
about that
what-
EP before we went live.
That EP
most
just
of you will
slipped from
guess-
my mind.
Most of you will kill me today because you're going to guess which is going to be my number 1 easily. All I'm saying. Last but not least, despite what I say and what I think about Tool, I can respect them as artists. And Opiate is a great EP as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, in just a sec, I actually need to grab this. Okay, there we go. That was quick. Just went up and got it right behind. All right. So now time for the cream of the crop, as the Macho Man would say. All right. So time for the top 10 itself. So starting off for me at number 10, underrated EP that just kind of gets forgotten about because it came out a year after their masterpiece debut, and that's Inhuman Condition by Massacre. Came out a year after their amazing debut From Beyond. If you're gonna listen to Massacre, do not listen to Promise or their last album. Go back and listen to this EP and the debut, and hell, even the demos. Actually, if I want, I'm gonna add in a last minute tie for Massacre. I'm also going to add the what the hell was the name of that demo? Real quick, To Metallum I Go, because I've listened to this demo many times, but I forget the name of it every single time. The Chamber of Ages demo from '86, I forgot. Okay, Chamber of Ages demo and the Inhuman Condition EP. The Chamber of Ages demo was a very raw Florida death thrash demo, and when you listen to Cam Lee's vocals on this demo compared to the albums, it's like night and day. Cam Lee, during this time in the mid-'80s, he was trying to do the more evil version of Tom G. Warrior's voice, and it's proof, in my opinion, why Tom Warrior was more influential on death metal than black metal when it comes to vocals, because Cam Lee is proof, because he emulated what Tom Warrior did, but created it in his own way. And the Chamber of Ages demo was really cool. And the one song on this demo that didn't make it onto an album, Clangor of War, Napalm Death actually covered on their Leaders Not Followers Part 2 album, which was a cool cover. But then to Inhuman Condition, 92, this 4-song EP, all 4 songs are amazing. The title track, my personal favorite, Plains of Insanity, is a death thrash masterpiece. The last song, Provoked a Cursor, which is actually Cam Lee's favorite Massacre song to play live, but also one of the most underrated cover songs, covering Venom's Warhead with Kronos on vocals. They actually got Kronos to fly over to Tampa to Moorsound, did the vocals, and it was an amazing cover. In my opinion, way better than the original. Way better.
Nice.
I guess because it was properly produced and not Corthon, Kronos actually got to go for it.
That's true. That's true.
So yeah, number 9. 9999999. I actually have this EP, but I can't grab it because it's actually on the same disc as the album before. I got Eyes of Horror by Possessed.
You son of a bitch. That's my number 9 too.
Oh, nice.
But the fun fact about this EP that a lot of people probably don't know, it was produced by guitar virtuoso legend Joe Satriani.
Which is weird. Okay. Joe Satriani of all people.
Producing a death thrash demo or EP. Well, because he taught Larry Lalonde how to play guitar. Then again, he taught basically almost every Bay Area thrash guitarist. Kirk Hammett, Alex Skolnick, Larry Lalonde. Is there anything Joe Satriani can't do? That's the question. And this was a hell of a well-produced EP as well. Like, every song top to bottom, from Confessions through to Storm in My Mind. Such underrated gems. And even a re-recording of a song that was on a Metal Massacre compilation in '85, Swing of the Axe.
Not the Power Trip. Not
the Power Trip song, which is Executioner's Tax, but yeah. Eyes of Horror, amazing EP, should be scoped out by more. And it was sadly the last release they had until Revelations of Oblivion last year. Up next, oh no. I feel like I'm gonna kill Hannah with this. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe Artur, I got no clue. Number 8. There we go.
Perfect.
In just 2 words. Death Crush. You're number 10. Okay. And Ricky's number
And my number 1.
Yes!
My number 1.
I got one of you.
Hey, it's my number 4.
My number 2.
Alright, but yeah, Death Crush, what more can we say about Death Crush, as already said? I would argue this was an era of Mayhem where I feel like I always wish Mayhem would go back to this kind of style for at least one album, because, yeah, this was during a time where, yeah, vocally it was black metal, at least when Maniac's vocals, Messiah's vocals were a little more death metal, if you ask me. This, to me, was more Mayhem being a death metal band than a black metal band, because when you read the lyrics, they're very death metal oriented, like Chainsaw Guts Fuck, one of the most brutal songs of all time.
Even the intro, which they still play in many of their shows, it's
the Mayhem
beautiful.
intro, yeah. But of course, other great classic songs like Necrolust, the title track, Pure Fucking Armageddon, which is like a grindcore song almost. Despite what Euronymous may say about death metal and grindcore, you could tell he was into death metal and grindcore during this time, because just look at that song. So anytime you hear Norwegian musicians,
despite all the no Scott Burns, no death, no whatever,
it's hypocritical. It's absolutely hypocritical, because you could tell just from this demo that they were into death metal. So there you go. Yeah. But yeah, Death Crush by itself, an amazing EP, and without it, where would they be today?
Mm-hmm.
And they still play a couple of those songs live to this day, which is great. Or at least they did for a long time. Number 7.
At least Chainsaw Guts Fuck, they still play.
Yeah. And lyrically, one of the most brutal songs of all time, which is hopefully, eventually, if we ever do top 10 most brutal songs in metal history, that would be in the list for sure. Number 7. Now this one I wasn't too sure about, considering it did get released in 96 as an album, but it was a demo recording of a potential
Morbid
debut.
Tales?
No, it's not Morbid Tales. If I had thought it through, I would have put Morbid Tales and Emperor's Return on the list, but I still have my thesis about them, so there you go. But no, this is in a different scenario. They recorded this as an album, but it was a demo recording that wasn't released until 96. And it is...
Who was it down?
That wasn't Twitch, that was just my phone.
Oh.
But anyways.
Shut up, phone.
But anyway, so my number 7, a very underrated demo album.
Batista's like, oh god.
Batista doesn't want you to talk.
Shut up, phone.
It's Twitter.
Shut up, Batista.
It's Twitter that's going off. Anyways, number 7, Embrace the Death by Asphyx.
Oh!
It was, the story behind it, this was shortly before Martin Van Drunen joined the band, so they had a different vocalist and bassist in the band. And most of the songs on this album were rewritten and re-recorded on the rack. Like, an example, like this title track, Embrace the Death, was now rewritten as Pages in Blood off of the rack. So all the songs mostly off of this demo album would be re-recorded on the rack, but the one song that never got rewritten but got re-recorded on their self-titled album in 94, which is a song that the band never plays because Martin Van Drunen doesn't like writing occult lyrics, the song Thoughts of an Atheist, which is an underground gem in death metal, death doom, what have you. But
I don't know why he doesn't like to write occultist stuff.
because he ain't about that. He prefers to write more death lyrics, which makes sense. So, like, anytime Martin wasn't in Asphyx, lyrically it became occult. When Martin was in the band, or is in the band, it's war and death lyrics, which I prefer than the occult stuff when it comes to Asphyx, because it makes sense. But regardless, Embrace to Death is an underrated demo album that was almost their debut before their vocalist was kicked out and Martin Van Drunen came in, and the rest, as they say, is history. Number 6, I have, and funny enough, I talk about this EP a lot in, like, before we go live, and we talk about, I bring up this genre a lot, but gore grind, which I'm not the biggest fan of, depending on the band, but this EP is more death metal than gore grind, but it has those occasional pitch-shifted vocals. But I went with Necrology by General Surgery, which when you listen to it, it sounds like a Swedish death metal band because they recorded it at Sunlight Studios with Thomas Gosberg. And also, Maddie Karki from Dismember was actually a vocalist and bassist on this EP. But when you want to talk Carcass clones, no one did it better than General Surgery, because they took the influence of Reek of Putrefaction era Carcass, but made it into almost like a Swedish death metal band. And when you have a song like Crimson Concerto with a nice eerie orchestral intro before it gets full on speed, it's an amazing song. One of the best death metal gore grind songs of all time, if you ask me. And this EP, top to bottom, and the opening song on this EP was like their homage to the song Genital Grinder by Carcass off of Reek of Putrefaction, where it has that instrumental flavor to it. But now into the top 5. Number 5, I hype up this band quite a bit, and it's a shame they broke up after this demo, because I feel like if they actually released albums, they'd be one of the most influential death metal bands today. Panoramic Twilight by Time Ghoul. A death metal band from Missouri, of all places. But when I listened to this is a 2-song demo, and to best describe Time Ghoul, they're a death metal band with elements of prog, tech, doom, and avant-garde music. And they're so avant-garde, they bring in barbershop quartets into their songs, which is unheard of. Like the song Boiling in the Hourglass, after a little chaotic, crazy intro, and then you get this like sci-fi outer space sound, and then you hear this like barbershop quartet chanting before it goes crazy with blast beats. And vocally, without this demo, Dallas Toller Weight of Nile would not have been a death metal vocalist, because the vocals, I can tell where Dallas Toller Weight of Nile got his vocal influence from, was from this demo. Both songs 8 to 10 minutes long, atmospheric, brutal, intricate, and at the time, some people who were listening to this demo in 1994 felt this was the most revolutionary thing to happen to death metal in a few years. And as I said, it's a shame they broke up after this demo, because I feel like if they would have stayed together and put out albums, they'd be a juggernaut today. No question.
Well, maybe they could get back together if they watch the stream. Never know.
Maybe. Perhaps. Number 4, I'll Hannah spoiled it already with the honorable mentions. Hellhammer Apocalyptic Raids.
It's my number 10.
It's a classic. I mean, the song Triumph of Death alone. What more can you ask for? And all hail Tom Moyer and rest in peace Martin Eric Ain. Or should I say...
Sinclair.
Or should I say, Slade, Necros, and Satanic Slaughter.
Don't forget the drummer, Reed St. Clair.
He wasn't on this demo. I think it was. Hang on. To Metallum I go again. Hellhammer. Who was the drummer on Apocalyptic Raids? It was Bruce Day, who was going by the name Denial Fiend.
Oh, okay.
So, and I think I think after this demo, when Celtic Frost formed, they had Stephen Priestley on Morbid Tales and some songs on Emperor's Return, and then Reed St. Mark joined. So,
Oh, I thought it was Reed St. Clair.
no. But anyway, so yeah, Apocalyptic Rage by Hellhammer at number 4. Number 3, I think the only other person I could see that having this on the list is Artur. But 1995, A Change of Seasons by Dream Theater.
Don't have it!
Which I'm shocked. Which I'm shocked because, yeah, for a 30-minute EP with the classic title track, one of the best prog metal songs of all time. I actually forget what else was on there, because it's like when I think of this EP, I think of the song A Change of Seasons. What the hell else was on here?
Which is a great song.
Oh, it was just live tracks for the rest of the EP. It was just A Change of Seasons. They did Elton John covers, Led Zeppelin covers, and a Deep Purple cover of Perfect Strangers. But, yeah, when most people think of this EP, they think of the song A Change of Season, which is 23 minutes of prog metal mastery.
Yep.
So, that's my number 3. Number 2... I had a tough time trying to choose between one of these two, so I decided, you know what, fuck it, make it a tie. I brought up with Creator earlier how I felt there was one other German thrash band that perhaps did the EPs better. And
let me guess.
And number 2, I have both In the Sign of Evil and Expers of Sodomy by Sodom.
I only have in the sign. I only have In the Sign of Evil, and
this is number 1.
It's my number 5.
But to talk about them,
number 6.
So to start with, In the Sign of Evil, yeah, originally that was supposed to have been Sodom's debut album, but as told by Grave Violator and Tom Angel Ripper, that while they were in the studio recording, the head of SPV Steamhammer Records came in and wanted to listen in and asked, so how many songs you got done? 5. Stop. We're going to do a mini EP album to kind of test you guys. Because I guess SPV Steamhammer did this with a lot of bands. Like they did with Destruction even, where they would do an EP first as a test to see how much they can sell. And In the Sign of Evil proved this band could sell records in Germany, and In the Sign of Evil, top to bottom, a perfect EP. You know, you start off with the intro, The Sin of Sodom, in the Sign of Evil, going into Outbreak of Evil, which is a classic that still gets played live to this day. Other songs like Sepulchral Voice, Blasphemer, which gave the nickname to the Guitars of Mayhem, Blasphemer. Witching Metal's a classic, and then Burst Command Till War. Amazing songs. Expers of Sodomy, on the other hand, this came out after the debut Obsessed by Cruelty, which, despite that album being great, talk about a clusterfuck as far as getting it released and recorded. The original version, which Metal Blade put out, which I prefer, and then you get the German version, which is in D standard tuning, that got released everywhere else. I prefer the US... blah, blah, blah. I cannot fucking speak. The US release, which is the original recording, so much more than the re-recording, but that's just me. So after... Even though it sold well, the record label was a bit hesitant on what Sodom was going to do next. They pick up classic guitarist Frank Blackfire, and Tom Angel Ripper goes to the label and says, hey, we got a new man. We're going to record, we're going to do a little thing and see what happens. And they're like, well, let's do an EP first before we do an album. They go to classic producer Harris Johns, who already by this point recorded Walls of Jericho by Halloween and Voivod at this point, and Gravedigger. Gets to record a thrash band for the first time. And out comes Expers of Sodomy with 3 classic songs. My Atonement, The Conqueror, And, of course, an all-time classic, Sodomy and Lust. One of the best Sodom songs of all time. And this paved the way for what they would eventually become going forward, starting with Persecution Mania that came out later in the year. And by the way, before I get to number 1, I noticed something. This whole episode I've talked about 5 EPs that came out in 87. Geez, 87 was like an amazing year for EPs, it seemed.
Yep.
Yep, that is true.
But for me, there can only be one number 1. And I will be surprised if no one has this anywhere on their list. But this is the one EP I have on CD. And it's a classic. Haunting the Chapel by Slayer.
My number 3. It's my number 3.
My number 6.
But yeah, Haunting the Chapel. So, came out after Show No Mercy. And you could tell where they were going with this. Because they tune down to E-flat and get very evil with their sound. You get Chemical Warfare, Captor of Sin, that title track. This version, I got the bonus track where they did Aggressive Perfector. That would eventually get re-recorded on Rain and Blood. But yeah, you could tell where they would eventually go on Hell Awaits with this EP. And they still play Chemical Warfare, or they still played Chemical Warfare until they retired. So, and even the song Captor of Sin is such a classic, even At the Gates covered it. Haven't heard anybody cover the song Haunting the Chapel yet. But, and a fun backstory about this EP. When they were recording the song Chemical Warfare, Dave Lombardo was playing and there was no carpet when he was playing the kit. So Gene Hoglan, who was friends with the band at the time, had to hold his drum kit together to keep it from scooting away while he was playing his double bass parts on this song because he was so into it. And they forgot to put carpet in to keep the kit from moving. So Gene Hoglan literally physically had to hold his kit together when recording the drum parts for this song. But yeah, Haunting the Chapel, amazing, classic. Enough said. All right, Hannah.
I can go next.
Oh, I can let Artur go.
If you don't mind, I can go next because so many albums have been already said. I mean, my number 10. My number 10. It has been mentioned already. Apocalyptic Raids by El Hammer. There's nothing much to say about it. I mean, Apocalyptic Raids is an amazing. This one, I'm shocked that Levi did not have it, and it's the other thrash metal EP, and it's another thrash metal EP that I have on my list on my number 9. Destruction's Sentence of Death. I mean, talk about classics such as The Mad Butcher, even the first Curse of the Gods. And Tormentor, they all came from Sentence of Death. And this was back when Destruction was at possibly its apex. Not apex, but starting up.
It's beginning
especially
their...
since they... Yeah.
Beginning their ascent.
Especially since their cover of Sentence of Death inspired a young Sepultura.
Mm-hmm. And even Euronymous called this EP an important influence on black metal in Norway, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Number 8.
There you go.
I'll be shocked if Hannah doesn't have this one on her list. The Halloween self-titled EP. No?
No.
Now that I am shocked. I mean, this was Halloween before Walls of Jericho, and still you can hear that amazing classic Halloween album. This one, I'm shocked as well that nobody has also on their lists. The very first Merciful Fate EP. Merciful
It's
Fate.
on my list.
Merciful
it's
Fate.
on my list.
I mean, you want to talk about an ascension? You want to talk about ascension of a king? There's your ascension right there. The first Merciful Fate EP before the creation of what would become the beast known as Melissa. Number 5, absolutely I have Morbid Tales on it, and Levi, we can discuss Morbid Tales and Emperor's Return until the cows come home, but
Yeah.
from what is official, Morbid Tales was an EP that was launched that was released before To Megatarion. They later in 95 combined both Morbid Tales and Emperor's Return into one whole album. This is, as I said, officially. Number 4, it's kind of a last-minute tie that I had it on. One of them has been already mentioned, the Garage Days EP. But this one was too good to be left out. Iron Maiden's The Soundhouse Tapes. I mean,
Damn!
Prowler. Prowler, Remember Tomorrow, and even the first recording of Iron Maiden in Neil Kay's Bandwagon Studios, in the show of the Bandwagon.
Yeah.
I mean, the Soundhouse Tapes is just too good to be left out. Number 3, Levi's number 1, Haunting the Chapel. Enough said. Number 2, and this one I'll expect Hannah to have it on her list. Emperor's self-titled EP. Also, it has just like me. I always, for some reason, call this one Wrath of the Tyrant because of the song Wrath of the Tyrant. But it's much more than Wrath of the Tyrant. It's Black Wizards. It's Cosmic Keys. This was the genesis of what would become later probably one of the best black metal albums of all time in the Nightside Eclipse. And it all started with Emperor's self-titled EP, which I still to this day will forever call it Wrath of the Tyrant. But I've seen somewhere one of those album covers saying Wrath of the Tyrant. Maybe I'm mistaken, but that's all different story.
I think they released it together with Wrath of the Tyrants, the demo that came out before. They put it together and released it.
Because I've seen the same album cover of Emperor's EP, but as on the bottom end, Wrath of the Tyrants.
Yeah, they put it together.
Just like Morbid Tales and Emperor's Return by Celtic Frost. Last but not least, my number 1, Death Crush. I talked about Death Crush. I talked about Death Crush for a long ass time. You knew, most of you knew, but like I said, this was mayhem when there was still a bit of sanity, if you want to call it, within that unit. I mean, Chainsaw Gutsfuck, pure fucking Armageddon. Probably one of the worst songs that they have, which is the Witching Hour cover, which is the Venom's cover,
Yep.
which is the Venom cover of Witching Hour. But still, for a piece that would become this, for an EP that would be later become the mysterious Grand Declaration of War and all the albums that would later come. And easily I could have put here Wolf's Lair Abyss, because the Wolf's Lair Abyss is also another main Mayhem EP. And the only reason why I won't put Dawn of the Black Hearts here is because it's subpar, but it still has a gory ass cover. So, number 1, Death Crush for sure.
Well, I think I should go next because I start with Death Crush.
I'm sorry.
It's on my number 10. I mean, it surely is revolutionary and one of the earliest examples for the second wave of Norwegian black metal. Although, like we said before, it contains lots of death metal elements and the lyrics are very gory and so on. The thing with Death Crush is I'm if my favorite Mayhem release always has been the Mysterious Dom Satanas.
Same here.
Same.
And from the previous work before that album came out, my favorite release always will be Live in Leipzig, because Death is on vocals. And here on Death Crush you have Maniac, and in my opinion, most of the songs are a bit more gory, a bit more death metal-y. And
If I'm not mistaken, Messiah did some songs too.
Yeah, he did
Yeah.
Witching Hour and Pure Fucking Armageddon, where Maniac did
but-
the rest.
Yeah, but my favorite Mayhem vocalist is dead. That's simply it. And while I think this album is revolutionary, I personally prefer later works, but still I have to honor it and put it on number 10 because of that. Then my number 9. Well, I love German folky black metal, and therefore I have to go for Falkenbach's Leg Nie Schinder, released in 1995. While Falkenbach have released other demos, like the Falkenbach 95 demo and so on, I think this one is the closest to an album. It later was even released as an album, but I mean, when you listen to this demo, it has a running time of almost 42 minutes, I think, and songs like Azaland that would be re-recorded later on are on here, although everything is a bit raw, a bit less polished than on later releases. And I think this is probably the most important work preceding the release of their first album, and is still to this day very listenable and very influential, and that's why it's on number 9. Yeah, and then number 8, I have talked about this album. You know that I enjoy the weird things, and this is surely one of these things. It's Shamash, the Maldoror Chance Hermaphrodite. Well, they told us, Shamash told us that this will be the first of many EPs adapting Lautremont's The Maldoror Chance, one of the most evil books ever written. And this EP basically adapts one chapter out of the Maldoror Chance, talking about the poor hermaphrodite that is chased, haunted, and exiled, and so on. It's a very sad story, but still one of the happier chapters out of Lautremont's The Maldoror Chance. I read it, and it really is one of the happier chapters. And the music on here rarely has anything to do with music. It's more ambient, more soundtrack-like. The only song that kind of would classify as a classical song is May Your Illusions Last, and it's a fucking great song. I saw them play this EP live in its entirety, and it's just one of these experiences. And one thing I really like about Shamash, and first it's very hard getting into this EP, but once you have kind of climbed over the wall separating you from enjoying this thing, it's really worth it, and one of my favorite releases to have on vinyl. And I ramble about it, and I'm sorry about it, but I just can't help myself. Well, Shamash, the Maldoror Chance Hermaphrodite on number 8. Number 7, from black metal and ambient to synthwave.
Oh boy.
One of my guilty pleasure genres that I really like listening to, and one of the big players of this genre certainly is Carpenter Brut. And before they released their first album, only like 2 years ago, they released 3 groundbreaking EPs entitled 1, 2, and 3. And they actually released them together on an album called Trilogy, but I only have the live album, Carpenter Brut Live, and you basically have all of the important songs on this live album, and it feels like a mixture of Tron soundtrack, Blade Runner, a bit of John Carpenter thrown into the mix, a little bit of Miami Vice soundtrack by Jan Hammer. Everything just mashed together, and the feeling of nostalgia on Carpenter Brut's EPs is just phenomenal. I like the 80s. I like listening to 80s music, and this album or these 3 EPs just perfectly managed to capture this kind of feeling of nostalgia on awesome songs like Le Perf, Hang 'em All, Turbo Killer, Anarchy Road, Invasion AD, Run Sally Run, Meeting Matt Striker, and so on. I can't get enough of these 3 EPs, and I think they are fucking awesome. Well, then next, back to German black metal. Well, I just have to. It's Elende Rückzug in die Innerlichkeit. Elende is not German. It's an Austrian black metal band. They incorporate classical music and post rock elements into their music, and I think to this day, I mean, they have released now 3 or 4 albums, and I think so far the best release is this EP. It's just such a moody little thing with songs like der letzte Marsch, von Vergänglichkeit und Trost, Pfad der Innerlichkeit, and now I'm rambling German song titles. I'm very sorry about that, but it's just just the feeling you get from this EP. I really enjoy spinning this thing, and to this day, one of my favorite black metal releases out of the Austrian or the current Austrian black metal scene. It's just awesome. Well, back to a classic band for my number 5. Vark has to be on here. Burzum with Aske. I mean, there are several reasons to talk about this album. First of
This just got demonetized.
Yeah. It ain't even monetized to begin with, so don't worry.
Well, there are several reasons to talk about this album. The first and most obvious one is, of course, the
album cover.
The cover with the burned remnants of the Phantofen stuffed church in Bergen that Vark supposedly or burned down. And, well, but the music on here is very ambient, black metalish, in the way Vark would later coin the whole atmospheric and DSBM branch of black metal. And I've listened to it a couple of days ago in preparation for this episode, and I must say that I enjoy this EP musically way more than Death Crush. But I've never been more into this brutal side of black metal. I prefer the ambient and atmospheric stuff, so that shouldn't be a surprise, but I think it's a very listenable EP, at least for my taste. Well, number 5, Burzum Aske. Number 4, I'm sorry, I only have black metal releases on my list.
I should have known.
Yeah.
And this is the next one.
So what else is new?
And this is the next one. Ghetto Braid, Ashen Eidolon. Some say this is an Agalok clone. I disagree. It's too melodic to be an Agalok clone. And, well, Jake Rogers is behind this little project. He also released the Caledon. He's also heavily or highly involved in Caledon Brood and Visigoth. But I think my favorite release out of his catalog has to be Ashen Eidolon. It's basically a folky black metal EP with a bit of atmospheric elements thrown into here, and this one also contains the bonus track Son of Remembrance. It was a pain in the ass to find on vinyl, and I mean the songs Ashen Eidolon and Oak and Aspen. When I discovered this thing in 2014, 2015, I was constantly listening to these two songs, and I still haven't stopped. I love this EP to death. I wish he would release more music with Gallo Braid instead of Visigoth, but, well, one can only hope for that. And then number 3, Artur already talked about it. Emperor. Emperor and Wrath of the Tyrant. I have both on here. The demo that came out before the actual EP. I simply think this is an amazing piece of music, especially the Emperor EP, where you can basically see the groundworks or the basic blueprints of what Emperor would later become. It's raw, less polished than in the Nightside Eclipse, and it's really interesting to see the development from the EP and the demo towards the later album, and to see where they came from, how they changed, and so on. It's just mind-boggling at times to compare these releases, and I think that's why they are so great. It's basically a less polished Emperor, and it's a great thing. Although I'm a big fan of the polished version. I've never been too much into this unpolished raw stuff, but I can appreciate it, and that's why I like these EPs so much. And then the second album on my actual list to not be a black metal release, 9 Inch Nails, Broken. On number 2.
Yep.
Well, I love black metal, but I can appreciate and like other genres at times, and industrial metal certainly is one of those genres. Although the big juggernauts for me in this kind of music are obviously Ministry and Rammstein, but 9 Inch Nails, when they were a bit more on the heavy side, fascinate me, and Broken as an EP certainly is their finest work regarding industrial metal. You have Wish on here, which is a phenomenal song, and who doesn't like to who didn't like to play this on Guitar Hero? I did. I love to play that one.
Which Guitar Hero was it on? I forget.
I think either 5 or 6.
Legends of Rock. I have that one, which has Wish.
I used to have it, and I used to play this song a lot. And I mean, the entire EP is awesome. The Pigface cover of Suck, and Happiness is in Slavery and Gave Up, and Wish, of course. There are phenomenal songs on here, even though the running time is only 32 minutes or something.
And another
like that.
song on there that I think is underrated, the song Last, off of that EP.
That one is awesome as well. The entire EP is awesome in my opinion. Yeah, well, number 2, 9 Inch Nails, Wish, Broken. Sorry. I talk too much. And now, it seems like I have to talk about this band every single episode.
Oh god. Yeah, that's what it is.
Well, here it is. Agalog, the White. This was the first EP I was thinking about, and it had to go on number 1 because, in my opinion, and I said it before, the Holy Agalog Trinity for me consists of the Mantle, Ashes Against the Grain, and the White. It's a phenomenal piece of acoustic guitar music with lots of atmosphere and ambient thrown into the mix. The only song where it gets a bit heavier is Pantheist, where they also use electric guitars, but for the rest, it's only acoustic guitars. And most of the songs are instrumentals, but it doesn't hurt the album. It's a phenomenal atmospheric release, and the first piece of music I discovered from Agalog, and still to this day one of my jams that I discovered, and when it came out this year, when I re-released it as a vinyl, I had to get it immediately, and I constantly spin it. I love it. My mother already knows it, which is always a sign that I overspin something, but well, I simply love this EP, and if we do the total top 10, I will push for this one, no matter what.
All right, Ricky.
All right, my number 10, probably the oddest, not the oddest one, but like guess the most non-extreme one. AC/DC's 74 Jailbreak.
Oh!
Now Now, the
I
funny
knew you were
thing,
gonna mention AC/DC.
the funny thing about this EP is that 4 out of the 5 tracks from this EP are from the Australian version of High Voltage. The song Jailbreak came out in the Australian version of Dirty Deeds. But when they released it internationally, those 5 songs were taken out of their albums. So AC/DC, being the band that they are, they decided to put these 5 albums in one EP called the Jailbreak 74, which was released after For Those About to Rock. So that was in 82. Yeah, 82. It was released in 82. And like I said, I'm happy that they released this 5 tracks, especially Jailbreak, even though in the Australian version Jailbreak is in the album.
Mm-hmm.
But still, probably it's a fun album to listen to, especially being all songs were from the Bon Scott era. A great little gem of AC/DC thing that every AC/DC fan should get. Even if you find it for cheap, it's even better. Number 9, 9999. Possessed Eyes of Horror. The thing about Eyes of Horror and Levi mentioned it, that Cunning Tricks in the Boat, it was produced by Joe Satriani, of all people. Of all people, Joe Satriani produced this masterpiece of an EP. Yeah, you have the title track, the Swing of the Axe song, not to be confused with the Power Trip song. You got Confessions, I believe. And the funny thing about it is that they have Larry Landlord on guitar, which will eventually go to Primus, which is kind of a weird thing, that Primus is not really death metal, it's more about...
They're more alternative metal,
Yeah.
prog, and funk. Yeah.
Which is kind of weird, you think about it. Going from death metal to a more about alternative.
Alternative funky prog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
With some country, not.
Yeah. Number 8. And I'm surprised none of you have mentioned this album. This demo. Hannah mentioned Oscar by Burzum. I raise you one a bit higher. Fuck Me Jesus by Murdoch.
Oh.
Oh!
I actually have this one on CD.
No
Wow.
way! Oh,
If you talk about one of the most controversial demos out there in the world, it was banned for so many years, not only because of the lyrical, but the album cover.
And the title.
The album cover. I mean, you have this chick naked, having a crucifix and, going up the woohoo.
Yeah.
But still, it's one of those weird gems that will eventually become black and death metal.
Yeah.
That helped the wave of bands like Behemoth, bands like Blasphemy, kind of have a blueprint of what will become, like I said, black and death metal. And this album, like I said, so explicitly, the lyrics are so out there, and so our big raw production. I'm shocked none of you guys even mentioned it, which I was like...
And fun fact, the vocalist of Marduk on this demo, as well as the debut Dark Endless, Andreas Axelsson, was also in Edge of Sanity at the time as guitarist.
Well,
Yep.
Okay. Number 7, Artur mentioned it, Merciful Fate's Merciful Fate. Which, it's kind of weird if you think about it, because this EP also has a different name called Nuns Have No Fun. Again, that album cover, I get controversial album cover, but it's not as controversial as Murdoch, which I think Murdoch got inspired by this EP. Just saying.
Mhm.
But still,
so.
but still, 4 tracks, 4 great album tracks will eventually give us what would be the masterpiece of Melissa. Great EP to listen to. Number 6, I have Slayer, Haunting the Chapel. The thing about Haunting the Chapel that gets me, that kind of found intriguing, is that this was one of the albums that you can say, well, it helped develop the death metal scene. And not only that, but it helped Chuck. Even Chuck said in an interview that this was the album, the EP that changed everything for him. I mean, you got Chemical Warfare, which they played until their final tour, which I am still to this day sad and disappointed I didn't go see Slayer. I probably never will.
I agree. I wanted to see them live.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Fortunately, I saw the last time that they went here to Portugal. It was magic. Black
Oh,
magic, that
I
is.
was there too. I saw them at a festival.
I just hope Slayer comes back soon because even I think
I doubt it.
no,
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
they're ever
so.
coming back.
Kerry King, I doubt he'll do something. He'll do something eventually. I see him
he'll do something.
like
'cause
getting
he said
another
he's-
band going, but no,
He
Slayer,
might.
that's done. You know,
Yeah, because Kerry King has said he wants to continue playing music.
yeah, Slayer was never Slayer after unfortunately Jeff passed. After that,
Mhm.
you know, it was, and then Dave Lombardo left the band. It was kind of hard, you know.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, great EP. Number 5, it is the Death Doom EP that I have on my list. It's no shocker which one it is. Blake's Our Butterflies by Swallow the Sun.
Oh,
So
Nice.
the thing about this EP is that it has 2 sides. Side 2 is the Out of the Gloom Light demo, which I forgot to mention it, which those 5 tracks were later released in their first debut album. But the one thing that everybody talks about is side 1, the 35 masterpiece Plagues of Butterfly, which is separated into 3 parts. And you know, it's an experience in itself, especially if you're a big Swallow Sun fan like myself. You know, there's never a dying moment on this EP. I mean, you have melodic, you have guttural vocals, you have harsh Death Doom, melodic Death Doom. You even have some progressive in there. But still, it all comes together and just creates this beautiful song, which I am shocked they have yet to play this live. I don't think they ever played it live. And if they do, please Swallow Sun. If I ever see you next year, play it live, please. Number 4. This is probably the most debatable the EP, Morbid Tales by Celtic Frost. Some people say it's an EP. Some people say it's an album. I think it's an EP, but we all mentioned it before. We know what it is, which I'm not going to talk about. I'm going to move on. Number 3. I have 2 Hellhammer releases. Apoplectic Rites, and I'm surprised none of you mentioned it, Satanic Rites.
oh,
Ooh, nice.
I'm shocked none of you mentioned Satanic Rites either, because I like to pull these 2 albums together, especially if it's Satanic Rites, since it gave us the song Euronymous, which inspired
Yeah.
Euronymous to take the name Euronymous. I mean, great album. Number 2, Mayhem's Death Crush. For years, and I'm not gonna lie, for years I thought that the vocalist for Death Crush was dead. I don't know why I always thought it was dead. Maybe because it came out in '87. Dead was around that time.
Yeah, he
But then
joined
after-
at the end of that year. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I always thought maybe it was dead. That was in the people, and then later learned that it was actually shit, I forgot his name. Maniac,
Maniac.
who sang in the EP, Maniac who sang in the EP. And again, one of those hidden gems that if you look online, it's selling for hundreds of dollars, because rightfully so, because it gets crushed by Mayhem. And number
even
1,
Even Euronymous had to sign. Even Euronymous had to hand sign some of them.
Number 1, Sodom and the Sign of Evil. Now, this is the EP that is both to blame for saying that Sodom is black metal. I'll say it once, I'll say it again. Sodom is not black metal. Influential to black metal? Yes, but not black metal. Yes, it has some more raw production. Yes, the songs have more black metal influence. Yeah, there's more blast beats, but it's not black metal. It's still trash to me. I mean, you had the song like Blasphemer, you had the song Outbreak, and again, like Levi said, which I didn't know this, that the record company released it as an EP, which was supposed to be an album, which, again, Why would people do that? Which it bit them in the back because that EP sold, and I mean sold like
Yeah,
crazy.
the EP sold like crazy, and as the as Vinter, the drummer of Creator, described in the Sodom documentary, that they were all hanging out at a club called the Mephisto, and Tom, Angel Ripper, and Chris Witchhunter come in a car, and Witchhunter's shouting out the sale numbers for In the Sign of Evil out the car window, because they were just so thrilled that they sold a lot of EPs with it. And another story, according to one of the band's former roadies, as to why it was an EP and not a full album, because they drank too much.
I mean, they're joking, so I don't blame them. But again, one of the probably the most influential EP out there in terms of
Extreme metal, yeah.
In extreme metal, yeah. But like I said, it's one of those hidden gems that I think you can find it for cheap. I'm not so sure. The last time I checked, the cheapest copy that I saw was $15. I could be wrong. But number 1, In the Sign of Evil.
All right, Raphael.
Okay, for number 10, I decided to choose a band that they're gonna release their debut album next year, around January. And that is Midnight Spells Between the Eye. They're a power metal band here from Florida. Definitely should check them out. Number 9.
Yep. 9.
I chose 2 bands. One in particular, Ollie, which is another band here from Florida. This is one of their demos. This band, as far as the lead singer is concerned, he's very influential by Randy from Lamp of God. As far as vocals wise. The other band, I saw this band play twice. The other band I chose was Death of a Deity Death Dealer, which is another band I saw perform twice. They have more of this like kind of death core or something like death metal sound to them. But if you should definitely check out Death of a Deity Death Dealer. The EP I couldn't find it anywhere because it's mostly posted on like Spotify. It's normally like downloadable. Number 8, another band from Florida. Good one. Eternal Rations, Nocturnal Intoxication. Definitely like a black and thrash sound to them, I would say. Number 7, a band that's weirdly they don't have a drummer, they have a DJ. Out of all things, adding like an experimental type of metal.
New metal?
And that band, yeah, but Garber self-offering. The music video in this whole entire EP, you'll probably be creeped out by it. It's creative, don't get me wrong, but
I mean, just judging by the album cover, looks interesting, but there's no way I'm gonna get freaked out after watching Sweet Dreams by Manson ever again, trust me.
I agree. No, but just check out the music video for Self-Offering. It's the entire EP to his glory, because there's only 3 songs, but the 3 songs are long as hell, though. Number 6, another band from Lake Worth, Florida, MRSA, Biography of Madness. If you like horror movies, this band does the theme of horror movies. Like every classic horror movie from back in the 80s, 90s, that's where MRSA came from.
Interesting. I might listen to that after this.
Go for it. You're not going to be disappointed. Number 5, I chose him. This is the only beginning.
Oh no! I forgot.
Which one? I didn't listen. Which one?
Him, this is the only beginning.
Oh my god.
Oh!
Oh my god, they're 95 EP.
Yeah.
Oh,
Holy
Ricky.
crap! I'm ashamed.
Number 4, there's really not much to say about because it's already been mentioned by all of us, or majority of us, and that is Mayhem's Death Crush. And number 3, I chose another band from Florida called Omisium, called Salatio. I do not know how to pronounce the name of this EP. And that's this one right here.
That's, I ain't got no clue here.
Yeah, I don't...
Salatio Philosophy, something like that. Number 2, another one I chose was from Florida as well, with Lotex and Liars, Young Death. They have more like a new metalcore type of sound, but now they decided to switch themselves to new metal. And number 1 is Body Blows, which is the band that Ryan Taylor's in, who's also an Atomic, Male Violent Creation, and Soul Sticks. And that's their latest EP called Miller's Dreams, which has a very interesting intro if you watch School of Rock. Yeah.
Well, now time for the real work to begin. The final top 10. Well, I think I can...
I would say I got the white number 1.
Actually, here's the funny thing. I would go with Death Crush.
I was
If
gonna
you
say,
have
I
Death
think
Crush,
the one EP we all had was Death Crush.
So,
Yes.
Yeah, Death Crush is definitely a must.
So you want to put it number 1?
Well, do you want to save it for a different one, perhaps? Maybe
I
at
mean,
number
but-
2?
No,
That crush
I
is
can
fine.
go. I
mean,
could
what-
go Death Crush. I could go Death Crush number 1, Haunting the Chapel number 2.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay,
so
I
Death Crush.
Yeah.
So Mayhem, Death Crush, and then number 2 was
Slayer Haunting the
Chapel.
Chapel, yeah.
Haunting the Chapel.
And I would go, I think number 3, I think we have to go Hellhammer? Apocalyptic
Apocalyptic
Rage?
Rage?
The rights.
Yeah, Apocalyptic Rage.
Yeah.
Number 4, I think number 4 that should go to In the Sign of Evil.
I was gonna
Yeah.
mention that. Sodom in the Sign of Evil.
Now the rest is
4.
where the real work starts.
Yeah.
Actually,
Garage
here-
Days?
No, I didn't mention it.
I think only Artur and I brought it up. And I only had
know-
it in honorable mentions.
You know what? Just because I didn't mention it, but after thinking about it, I want it on the list. I want the white to be on the list.
I'm fine with putting Agalok
Yeah.
up there.
You want to put
Because
the
I
white
need to listen
on-
to that EP
on
myself.
the top 5?
Then,
Everyone?
then I want to chip in Emperor self-title.
Yeah, for sure. I think
Yeah, that
Emperor,
should
so
be
we-
in there.
So number 5, it could be Agalok.
And number 6, Emperor.
Yeah.
I
Number
mean,
6.
I would be fine if you switched those two, but as long as the white is on there.
All right, number 7.
I mean, it would be kind of an overstretch, but 9 Inch Nails Broken.
I feel like the two oversights were 9 Inch Nails and Dream Theater, I feel like.
Yeah, but I'm surprised. Like I said, I'm the one who mentioned Marduk. I don't think we're gonna have Marduk on the list.
Merciful Fate, maybe?
Yeah, I think we should put Merciful Fate and Possessed in the list.
Yeah.
Eyes
I'm
of
fine-
Horror.
I'm
Eyes of
fine
Horror,
with-
I put Eyes of Horror probably at like number 10 or something. Because only Ricky and I had it, so.
So number 7, we could go with Merciful Fate.
Yeah, why not? And actually, you
so
know what
now-
I just realized? Even though I've said my thesis about Morbid Tales and Emperor's Return, I'll be fine with putting it up there, although I feel like it has to go in the top 5.
Why not put Morbid Tales next to with Hellhammer Apocalyptic
I'm fine
Rites?
with that. I'm
Yeah.
fine with that. We can put
Yeah,
it with
because they're
Hellhammer.
I
Because
mean,
they're
they're
essentially
both
the
same
same
members.
band.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
same
both the
band,
same
same
band,
members.
just different name.
Yeah, and different
Yeah.
lyrics.
And
Celtic.
different sound.
Yeah.
Celtic Frost.
I'd say make
Number
that. I'd say
8
make
or
that.
9 broken.
I'd say for the Celtic Frost, I'd say we do the Hellhammer Apocalyptic Raids, Morbid Tales, and Emperor's Return. All three together.
You wanna do those 3? Hellhammer Apocalyptic, Celtic Frost, Morbid Tales,
And Emperor's
Emperor?
Return. No, Emperor's Return, the other Celtic Frost EP.
I could go with it.
So the other Celtic Frost EP. So
Emperor's Return, yeah.
Return.
Because it's because basically like the recording of most of those songs on Emperor's Return was at the same time as Morbid Tales.
Yeah. Which I kind of.
Hence why the version I have is both of them combined, and like the first 9 tracks are all from the same recording. So
Alright, so we're missing number 8, 9, and 10.
well, 10. I think 10 we should give that to Eyes of Horror by Possessed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're just missing
what
8
about-
and 9.
What about 8 or 9 to 9 Inch Nails?
So number 10.
I could go with 9 Inch Nails Broken being up there because like I said, that was a big oversight.
I can go number. You want to put 9 Inch Nails on number 8 or number 9?
Well, let's think of
care.
what else we could put in there.
I mean, a lot of us, I think 3 of us, Artur had it at least. We, Emperor's Emperor.
It's already.
It's already in there.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, at 5 or 6.
Yeah. Yeah, Emperor's.
I'm sorry.
So,
That's
Queensryche? You want to go with Queensryche? I'm the only one who mentioned.
That was
No,
another.
I
Was another big oversight. I will say that. Like Dream Theater and Queensryche were 2 massive oversights. Like Queensryche
I
was an
have a
oversight
bigger-
on my
I have
part.
a bigger oversight. I have a bigger oversight. The Roundhouse tapes by Iron
Oh
Maiden.
yeah, I forgot about
That's
that.
another one.
That's an essential one at that. You know
Um,
what? I'm gonna follow Artur's lead. I'd say Roundhouse Tapes should be up there, or Soundhouse
So-
Tapes.
So number 8. So number 8 was 9 Inch Nails.
And number
Broken.
9, yeah,
Number
Broken.
9,
And number 9, Iron Maiden's Soundhouse Tapes.
Sound House Tapes.
Yep.
All right. So what we have right now. Number 1, Death Crush. Number 2, Haunted the Chapel. Number 3, Apocalyptic Rites, Wet Morbid Tales, and Emperor's Return. Number 4, In the Sign of Evil. Number
Yes.
5, The White. Number 6, the Emperor album, Emperor. Number
Yeah.
7, Merciful Fate. Number 8, Bip, Broken by 9 Inch Nails. Number 9 is the Soundhouse Tapes by Maiden. And number 10, Possessed Eyes of Horror. So let's see. Unless there's
I'm good
something
with
else, unless you want to move some of the choices that we did.
I'm good
I
with
think I'm fine with how it stands now.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's
Yep.
good.
Okay. Hannah. Oh, there it is. There she is. So one more time. One final time. Number 1, Mayhem Death Crush. Number 2, Slayer Haunted the Chapel. Number 3, Hellhammer Apocalyptic Rites with Celtic Frost, Morbid Tales, and Emperor's Return. Number 4, In the Sign of Evil by Sodom. Number 5, Agalok the White. Number 6, Emperor. Number 7, Merciful Fate. Number 8, Broken by 9 Inch Nails. Number 9, The Hound Sound Tapes by Maiden.
Soundhouse.
Soundhouse, yeah. And number 10, Possess the Eyes of Horror. Everyone good with that
Yeah.
section, that list? Big now, forever hold your peace.
I'm good.
Going
with it.
once,
Going
going
once,
twice,
Going twice.
sold.
So,
So the final top 10 for top 10 demos and EPs. Number 1, it is Mayhem Death Crush. Number 2, Slayer Haunting the Chapel. Number 3, Hellhammer Apocalyptic Raids with Celtic Frost Morbid Tales / Emperor's Return. Number 4, Sodom in the Sign of Evil. Number 5, Agalok the White. Number 6, Emperor. 7, Merciful Fate. Number 8, 9 Inch Nails Broken. Number 9, Iron Maiden Soundhouse Tapes. And the number 10, Possessed Eyes of Horror.
Looks like a good list, a good mixture of. Actually, it's a bit more extreme metal. If now that I look at the list,
it's a lot more
extreme
like
metal.
thrash and black for the most part,
and death,
death. Yeah,
we just made it.
with only Maiden and 9 Inch Nails and such.
Yeah, with some industrial.
Just goes to show you that extreme metal was capable of producing so many great EPs, and in the year 1987,
and it still does.
Yeah. That's true.
So, yeah, because, like, on my list of honorable mentions, I had 5 EPs from 87. I had Garage Days, I'm the Man, Eyes of Horror, Death Crush, and X-Purse of Sodomy. So, yeah.
All in that year.
Yeah.
Damn.
Insanity. Well, a reminder of what's coming next time. Next time we're back here, hopefully in a week or two, it'll be the 2020 Album of the Year episode with opening Christmas presents before the lists.
Yep. And this will be the episode that we're gonna go back to the original format and at the end.
Coming together for a top 10 overall because it'd be such a fighting fest.
So we're gonna stick to the original format. We all do number 10s and number 9s and etc. etc.
Yeah.
Because we were talking. Because like Levi said, if we do the top 10s list at the very end, oh my god, we're gonna be here for hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which some people might like that. Some people might like that, but yeah.
I mean, they want to see us battle. They want to see us.
They want to see us.
They want to see us fight to the death.
Like argue, like wait, but that album was better. This album was better.
Exactly. We're gonna be like, oh, why is this album very low? I want it to be very higher.
Wait, but their debut was better.
I think you could blame me for that whenever we did the albums of the decade when I had Satanist at number 7. I'm still sorry, but I just liked 6 other albums more.
Each one their own tastes.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. If I had to go back now, I would probably bump it up a few spots at this point. But yeah. Maybe to like 4 or something, I don't know, but
yeah, but still an awesome moment that, oh my god. I lost in that. I was like,
yeah, you did. You were like, your voice cracked massively. I thought we were in agreement. And Hannah, you fell on and you went down to the floor. Why?
Another great moment was also when I finally got you, Levi, with the Metallica Kill 'Em All. Yeah.
Or whenever I got, or another classic, when I got Ricky, Hannah, and Artur about Primordial when we did folk metal. That was the beginning of it.
Or when Artur mentioned Hallowed Be Thy Name at number 2, we all had it number 1.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or a comedy moment when I had Prequel at number 4 on my list for 2018.
I still say,
Screw you, die!
I still say, as much as I love Hallowed Be Thy Name, Power Slave just ranks a little bit above.
Yeah. No, and on another weird moment, like when I remember there was one episode you literally fall off your chair.
Rammstein.
Oh yeah, when Artur said Mutter and I fell and I had my recliner and I went backwards.
Yeah.
I can't do that anymore. I don't have a recliner, as you can tell. I have a rickety, shitty golf course chair. Yeah.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
If I had that recliner still, that would be pretty funny.
Yeah. And a bit of a spoiler for next year. the first episode of next year.
He's going to be on to the Nameless Dead. Yeah.
To the Nameless Dead.
Ooh.
Oh man, I can't wait for we do that episode because I have a lot to say.
Especially us three have a lot to say. Me, Hannah, and you.
Oh yeah, but you were the ones that got me into Primordial in the first place.
Oh, and you know what else? Actually, I just remembered. I think it was a year or two ago, where Gonilok did a goosey guide on Irish black metal. And I think he mentioned Primordial more than any band on that video. Well, that and Cruachan as well.
Those are... I would say that besides Thin Lizzy, they're some of the best bands to come out of Ireland.
Yep. But anyways, yeah, albums of the year next time. Oh god, hell's gonna break loose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I still gotta listen to some stuff before making the list. A lot of stuff.
Mine's coming along.
I gotta listen to a lot of new stuff.
I might listen to a couple albums later on today after I finish doing
Just
some
to give you
rearranging
a bit of an idea, this year I listened to a total of 35 albums and 5 EPs this year. It's gonna be a pain in the ass. It's gonna be a pain in the ass to at least get the top 10 and maybe like 5 or 6 honorable mentions.
For me,
I know you're number 1.
89 album.
Jesus.
I know you're number 1 straight away. It has to do either with peacock feathers and bullets.
Can anybody guess what my number 1 is currently?
Something death metal.
You'd be surprised.
Although mine will involve either Veils or an H of Orion.
Might evolve a certain peacock or a certain schoolboy.
Mine either
mine-
features a certain pentagram or a certain dragon.
Well, mine has to do with gunslingers.
In case nobody's getting what we're saying, you'll find out here very, very soon. But anyways, that's gonna do it for today's festivities. We will be back in a week or two for the 2020 Album of the Year episode, with Christmas presents before doing the lists.
Yep.
If they get there in time.
Hopefully.
Yeah, they should get there in time.
Or if you haven't been naughty.
I've been a naughty boy this year, but not the bad kind of naughty.
Oh,
for Christmas.
Levi.
Levi?
Not now, Levi.
I still dare you, Ricky. I still dare you.
I'm not gonna do it.
boy.
Do it. I want somebody to do it randomly. I'm not gonna do it because it will be like, eh.
I actually sent Ricky that CD by Juarez.
Well, speaking of that, I still need to go and buy Hannah's and Artur's CDs.
Oh, please. I know what you like, honey. Come on.
Oh boy, I got it.
You want to bring up prequel? I'll bring it up.
Then I will sing your
Ricky,
favorite Spanish
you've
song.
got some explaining to do.
What?
He doesn't even realize what he did.
Nah, I know what I did. My evil after.
Oh. Ricky,
Anyway.
go to Twitch.
Oh. You did it on purpose, didn't you?
Yes.
See you around, guys.
Oh
See ya.
my
Well,
god.
anyways.
Well, anyways, that'll do it for this week after we ended off with a Zevgasm because of Ricky. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back in a week or two. Horns high. See you soon.